All right. Cool. I'm so excited. We're going to dive in, you guys. Today we have such an incredible treat. Our guest speaker, Dr. Tamara Lund. And if you didn't get a chance to read a little bit of a background on her, it's really fascinating and amazing. I actually have been working with Tamara since I was in high school, maybe before. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
You're making me sound old.
No, it makes me feel old. Oh man, but it's been a very long time, and I've always looked to her as honestly one of the smartest humans I've ever met in my life. She's helped me personally through several different healing stages that I've gone through with my gut health and hormone imbalance and musculoskeletal stuff. When I had my horrible back pain after having Logan, when I found out I had a moderate to severe degenerative disc in my low back, and just she's a wealth of knowledge. So I'm so thankful that she took time out of her day to chat with us today about brain health, because it's kind of important, right? It impacts everything in our lives, and it's not something that I don't think that people commonly think about. It's just, oh man, I just don't have any mental clarity, or I have mom brain. Like, we hear that all the time, and I say that. So I'm so excited that she's going to share with us a little presentation on brain health and the top things that we can do to really keep our brains functioning at optimal capacity. So Tamara, I'm going to turn it over to you. Feel free if you wanted to share a little bit of your background and how you got interested in brain health for those who haven't read your bio yet.
Okay, well, thank you, Jessica. I am honored that you asked me to be a guest on your show, because I've been a follower of yours since you started coaching, and I'm so proud, and I consider you an equal because you have learned so much. I mean, and you're an RN, you're a medical professional, and you have gone the extra distance to learn all about the health and the human body and how to share and help people be healthier. So I appreciate that. I am Dr. Tamara Lund. I'm a chiropractor. I've been a chiropractor for over 20 years. About 5 years into my practice, I knew that I wanted to know more, so I took on a postgraduate neurology degree. And so since 2006, I have been a board-certified chiropractic neurologist, meaning that I work with how the brain controls the body. And that's the really cool part. That's why I really liked it, because I wanted to know what I was doing. You know, I can crack stuff here and crack stuff there, and people get better, and your immune system works better, and you're more comfortable, but how in the heck does that work? And it all works through your immune system, and it's all modulated in your brain. And so I thought, cool, I like brain. And then for my personal history, my grandmother had Alzheimer's. She would walk around with her purse underneath her arm wanting to go home. So she was always, heading for the front door, so we had to keep it locked. She lived with my aunt, a family member, and always had to be, watchful for her, because she was always trying to walk home. She walked out of Mona Village and was on 108 at one point. And so that's when we decided, well, I think maybe we need to put her in a safer facility. And that was in 2002. And then my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. She was diagnosed about 5 years ago, and she's lived independently. And, we'd have companions come and help her out during the day, but then at night, she would wander, not necessarily outside, but all through the house. And we had to put her in a facility recently. And just a few days ago, I was saying goodbye. Bye, Mom, love you. And she gives me a nice hug. I love you. I love you. I don't know who you are, but I love you. And so, it's pretty awesome that she still knows who I am, and she still knows that she has that love for me. And it's kind of hard to think, hey, yeah, your mom doesn't really know who you are. So, long story long, I do not want to get Alzheimer's. That's a genetic thing, and I am predisposed to get it, and I don't want my kids to go through that. I don't want to have to live in a facility, because, fortunately or unfortunately, I haven't saved enough money for that, because who knows how long you're going to be in there. I want to keep my brain functioning, so I study and I learn. And then I share with people just like you do. I share so that we can keep each other healthy and functional. So that is where I am coming from. So I did a presentation a few months ago for Women's Network, for Women's Health Month, and I'm going to share that with you today on how you can keep your brain functional. So let me see if I can figure out how to share my screen.
Is that share button still there at the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have my share screen, but I don't know which.
And then it should be the first option, I think, on the left.
Share screen. Okay,
yeah.
Share screen.
And then, yep, it worked. Perfect. So right now I see your screen, everything on your screen.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing I have nice, safe, easy things for you to look at and not anything private. All right. So here it is. And I also have a website called youthfulbrainnow.com, so I can better share this information. So out of 5 million people living with Alzheimer's as of 2016, 1.8 million are men and 3.2 million are women. So that makes Alzheimer's a women's health disease. So 1 out of 11 men and 1 out of 6 women are projected to have Alzheimer's within the next 10 years. Yeah, those statistics are pretty wild. So people that are over 60, women over 60, have a greater chance of developing Alzheimer's than they do breast cancers. So, and that information came right off of Alzheimer's.net. So, I don't want breast cancer, and I certainly don't want Alzheimer's disease. So let's figure out what we can do to eliminate that. So here's a picture of my grandma, and here's a picture of my mom. And poor ladies just kind of lost their way. So brain health. One of the top questions that I get asked is, which foods do I need to feed my brain? And, I think we all kind of know this, right? We need to feed it healthy fats, avocados and oils and olive oils. Nuts are a healthy food. But I tell you, a lot of people eat a bag of nuts. We do have to be very mindful of portion control. So, you get just a handful. What you can put your fingers around would be a serving. And so that's enough nuts for a day. And your walnuts specifically have great omega-3s in them, so those are pretty healthy nuts. We want to eat our vegetables. We want to eat colorful, beautiful, eat from the rainbow vegetables. And I know I've heard you say that, and I know that's what most people know. Eat from the rainbow. And then eat your fish. And if you don't like fish, tough. But you can have fish oil. And I can talk a little bit about fish oil later on if you'd like. But your omega-3s come from fish, cold water fish. So you think about fish, you think about fat fish. You want fish that live in cold water because they have to have more fish or more fat to protect themselves. So that cold water fish is where you're going to get some good omega-3s. And they're more healthy when you get them from the ocean. Wild caught fish is much more healthy than farm-raised fish. So your omega-3 profile is much higher in wild caught fish than it is farmed fish because they feed it corn. And fish don't eat corn. Fish eat algae and other fish. So that's why eating whole, real, wild-caught food is wonderful. And Jessica, I saw that your husband just went hunting, and so eating that wild game meat is going to be really, really good for your omega-3 profile. So what not to feed your brain? Well, there's all this stuff. Now, when I said eat from the rainbow, I did not mean eat all of these different colored ice creams. Obviously, we want to eat whole, real foods. And so we really have to eliminate sugar, because diabetes type 3 is a new thing now, and that's what Alzheimer's is called, diabetes type 3. So you're getting insulin resistance in the cells of your brain, and it is interrupting fuel delivery, leading to stasis, and potentially encouraging the growth of the plaques. The neurofibrillary tangles and the tau plaques that interrupt your brain function. And gluten, wheat and gluten is really not our friend anymore. Now, I hear a lot of people talk about, I grew up on gluten, I'm fine, might have some brain fog, but it couldn't be from my gluten. Or maybe I only have a piece of toast for breakfast. Well, I'll tell you, the wheat that we have nowadays is not the wheat that your grandma grew up on. And so the wheat that we have nowadays has been hybridized to a point to where it makes proteins, the proteins that are in wheat are not recognizable to our body, to our enzyme system and our immune system. So our immune system goes a little wacky trying to figure out what kind of proteins they are, and starts developing immune response to wheat and gluten. And not just the hybridized weird proteins that are in the food, it also has to do with how the glyphosates, the pesticides, are sprayed across the fields right before it's harvested. Because when you spray the pesticide on it, it dries it out nice and uniformly, so there's no moisture in the silos, and it's safer that way. No mold grows that way. But the glyphosate is on the wheat, and then they process it and they make nice little white wheat products out of it, and away we go. So sugar, not good. Ice cream, colorful like this, not good. And certainly wheat, not good. There is evidence to say that dairy, especially non-organic, traditionally raised dairy, is very detrimental to your immune system as well. So it's going to cause inflammatory reactions in your body, and your immune system is going to go a little nuts. So, and you may have heard it, and you may have preached it, gluten and dairy, those are really inflammatory foods, and they're going to give you problems.
Can I ask you a question real quick, Tamara?
Of course.
What are your thoughts on organic, authentically made sourdough, where the dough is fermented and those gluten molecules are kind of broken down a little bit?
No, I do not like or promote that use. Okay. However, in, say, Europe, where they do not use the same farming practices that they have here in the United States, the gluten or the wheat has been, labeled a little bit safer for those people that have gluten sensitivity.
Right.
For people that have celiac disease, no way, no how, no wheat at all. Mm-hmm. So if you get your flour imported, say from Italy, to make your own pasta or your own sourdough bread, you will have much better luck. But for people that are worried about their brain health, that have either a gluten sensitivity, eating a little bit is not really an option if they really want to do everything that they can to save their brain. Eating gluten is kind of like being pregnant. You either do or you don't.
True, there's no going back.
Exactly. You can't have just a bite. Because studies have shown that, if you are gluten sensitive or celiac and you have just even one bite, that you are going to set up an immune reaction, and it's going to make histologic changes in your small intestine. So they can actually see that with biopsy just after one.
So that would be the same with sprouted bread, essentially, right? Like, we've been told that it's better, but it still has that gluten in it.
Exactly. Now, if you know for 100% certain, and you have taken the gluten test, say from the Cerex lab, which is the gold standard, and you have absolutely no markers for autoimmune problems or gluten sensitivity, then yes, do a sprouted wheat type of bread. Because, because you can get by when you don't have any markers and you eat a varied diet and you eat a healthy diet. But if you have, and even if you have no markers and you go ahead and you eat this stuff on the screen here, this white bread, eventually you're going to set up some sort of immune reaction.
And for those of you guys who don't know, Tamara, you have the test kits to test for gluten sensitivity in your office, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I use Cerex Labs, and Cerex Labs will do Array 3, which will test for 17 different analytes associated with gluten. So it's wheat, it's the germ, it's the gluten, it's the gliadin. And then in addition to those, it shows transglutaminase proteins, which have to do with immune reaction. So say transglutaminase 2 would mean that your immune system is affecting your gut. Transglutaminase 3 means that your immune system is affecting your skin. So say rosacea or certain types of dermatitis, or you've been to the dermatologist and they just give you creams and it doesn't really work. It's an immune reaction, transglutaminase 3, which is stimulated by gluten, not caused by it, but stimulated by it. And then transglutaminase 6 will affect your nervous system, will affect your brain, your cerebellum specifically, setting you up for cerebellum ataxia. If you feel like you're walking and you feel, man, I feel like I'm drunk and, I just haven't been eating that well lately, it's because it's affected your brain and it's actually attacked your brain. And so we really don't want to let that continue.
And last question, this is so fascinating. And I don't remember, is it a saliva or blood test? Is it something that's possible for us to do with our kids?
Yes,
okay.
Blood tests. Kids can do it, certainly. You pick up my kit, or you pick up the kit here at the office. You take it over to one of the local labs. They will do whatever it is they do with your blood. They'll draw it, let it set, and then spin it. And then you ship it off FedEx or UPS, one of the two. And then about 2 to 3 weeks, then I will get emailed the results. Alrighty. So we'll move forward. Ketogenic. Now that's a big buzzword nowadays because it's been in the research on how healthful it can be in promoting and protecting brain health. Because ketones are a byproduct of burning fat. Those ketones are anti-inflammatory. So whenever you are burning fat for fuel, you are affecting the inflammation system in your body, and you're taking the inflammation out of your brain. Now, most people are doing it nowadays just to lose a quick 20 pounds, and when they're done, they go right back to eating white bread and pasta, and then it comes right back. And so obviously that roller coaster of weight loss is not good for you, because that makes things worse, and it makes your adrenal glands worse as well. But when you are worried about cognitive decline, or if you've already started experiencing it, then burning ketones for fuel, for brain fuel, is what science shows is the best diet for brain health. So here is a number of studies, and there are a lot more.
So one question about this too, and you probably will get into it right here, because I was just going to ask, we've seen so many people do the keto diet, and that they're like eating the worst cheese, like processed, Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing you're going to go into that now. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So what is a keto diet? It's brain fuel, right? We want to burn healthy fats. Now I do have cheese up here. And that is minimal, because I like to do a keto diet and recommend people, especially when they have serious health problems, because people that come to me, have, step 2, step 3, step 4 problems. They could just, cut out their daily sandwich, then they really wouldn't come to see me. So if we can have a ketogenic diet made with mostly vegetables and an abundance of healthy fats, low meat, low fat proteins, so like if you're using animal fat from beef, you want to get the low fat type, and making sure that you're getting the real grass-fed beef. Because again, if it is if it's fed its natural diet, then your fatty acid profile is going to be healthy. I mean, cows like corn because it makes them nice and fat, but that's going to change the fatty acid profile from omega-3 more to omega-6. So eat your healthy oils, eat your healthy fish, eat mostly vegetables. You want to cut out grains, and you really don't want to substitute with sugar-free goodies. You know, that's one of the biggest things when people go on a ketogenic diet, they start Googling, oh, ketogenic dessert. You're like, no, how about ketogenic cauliflower or stir fry, and really work on those satiating meals. And then burning healthy fat for fuel. So that's that. And you know, you can also incorporate a really good powdered mix for a shake, as long as your carbohydrates are low and you're not doing 2 and 3 a day. And I'm not one for really counting, you know, how many carbohydrates I'm eating in a day. I will start in the morning with a good healthy shake, or maybe some eggs over spinach, and then work my way through the day that way, and still can be in ketosis. And so it's kind of good to have a coach when you're doing ketosis, because you want to check to see if you're in ketosis, and somebody to problem shoot for you if you're not.
I actually have had a couple, one of my cousins and a couple clients who was trying to stay in ketosis, and they tried Shakeology because there's more carbohydrates than I think most people like in Shakeology, and they were actually able to maintain it, which was interesting. So I've never tried it, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you have it in the morning, you know, you will use those carbohydrates quickly, and then you can spend the rest of the day burning your fats for fuel.
I'm so glad you shared this, because I keep seeing like the keto diet, super healthy, and it's like pastrami with mozzarella with pastrami with mozzarella. That was my dinner, and then I had sugar-free Jell-O for dessert, and everyone's like, I'm so healthy. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you know, so we need to use our brains, right? We're trying to preserve our brains, but we need to just think smartly about things. Vegetables are good for you. A variety of vegetables are better for you. And when you eat them all, you're not only helping your brain, you're helping the biodiversity in your microbiome, which means, you know, you're helping all of the healthy bugs in your gut. And that's really where, you know, you're going to win the game on keeping yourself healthy and keeping your brain working. So there we go with the diet. That's always the big Band-Aid to rip off. Here we go. Exercise. Sorry, I don't have pictures of you. You know, I love those videos where you do your speed workouts through there. But exercise your youthful brain. We have to keep the blood flowing, one, because, you know, the exercise circulates the blood and the oxygen gets up to your brain and it provides fuel. So we definitely have to do that. But then also, whenever you're exercising and building muscle, you are promoting bone-derived neurotrophic factor, also called BDNF. It's like fertilizer for your brain fertilizer. And, you know, it's well researched that neurotrophins will help keep your synapses firing. So, you know, it just makes your nerves connect with each other. And so that stimulation in your brain where you're activating it keeps those plaques from developing, the plaques that they find in Alzheimer's patients. Exercise every day. Now, you don't have to do weightlifting every day, but something, whether it's, you know, a 20-minute walk one day and then a 30-minute exercise routine the next day and then yoga the next day, you know, and you think, well, what kind of exercise? Any exercise, all exercise. Do what you love, because if you love what you're doing, that's even going to bring more joy to your brain. But doing it all, trying it all. And one of the new things that's out in the literature now for Parkinson's patients, doing burst activity like kickboxing or boxing is really good for your brain and helping increase the brain chemicals for promotion of function in Parkinson's patients.
I learned that from Wellbox because they have a whole Parkinson's program. Sorry, I just thought it was so fascinating to hear from some of the Parkinson's patients that go to Wellbox to do like something with the crossing of the arms and the brain. Like, I don't know any of this, but they were sharing that, and I thought that was so fascinating, the improvement that they were seeing.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to be boxing, just some sort of burst activity. Get out of your chair and run across the room to grab your toddler. There it is. It's burst activity. But also whack-a-mole. Playing that game where you got to whack the mole, you got to look and whack. That's burst activity, so that's actually going to be helpful as well. Okay, so we move from there to this nice little photo. You got that gut feeling. It is really important that we can eliminate our junk. We have to be regular at the stool. We have to be able to get rid of those waste products. And so many people, whenever they're having cognitive decline, when their brain isn't working real well, their bowel movements are much harder to achieve, say satisfactorily. You want to make sure that you're having, and they even say 2 to 3 a day, and eliminating completely. So that is just one of those things that can really play a huge part in folks that are looking to save their brain. And there are people that have had a lifetime of constipation, and by changing their diet, they're going to be have a lot more tools to be more regular, but sometimes we have to add other things. And one of the great supplements for guts is it's no longer probiotics, it's short chain fatty acids. Because research is showing that the probiotics, good as they are, they travel through. So within, say, 2 weeks after a regimen of probiotics, you really don't see that strain in high numbers in your intestines. But when you eat short chain fatty acids, which you get from vegetable fibers, it will help provide fuel for the intestinal bacteria, and it can help to heal the intestinal lining and really start going to work on eliminating at the stool. Short chain fatty acids, they're called butyrate, propionate, and there's another one, but I can't remember it right now. But butyrate is the big one.
What are some examples of what foods contain that naturally?
Vegetable fibers.
Any vegetables. Okay.
Yep. In one of the courses that I take and that I'm studying through, he promotes doing a vegetable mash. So you just go to the farmer's market, you buy a variety of vegetables, especially the ones that you don't like, because those are the ones that you don't have in your gut. And you chop them all up in little pieces and you throw them in the freezer. And so whenever you have your Shakeology shake in the morning, you just scoop out a cup of those vegetables and throw them in there. And then you're going to get a really good serving. You can also have fruit fiber in there as well, but you really have to get those vegetables in. If you're having intestinal problems, in addition to eating well, there is what they call a 4-hour program. Now, I'm not going to go all into that program because it's, another hour and a half, which, we should probably be wrapping up here. But you can Google 4-hour program, remove the bad stuff, replace it with good bacteria, short chain fatty acids, and hydrochloric acid or digestive enzymes. Reinoculate with the good stuff and repair it. Give yourself nutrients to repair the intestinal lining. I know that Dr. Chopra, Deepak Chopra, on his website, he's got a really nice outline of the 4-hour program for those people having intestinal issues. And again, like I said, this is like step one. We have to dig in a lot deeper for people that don't respond to this type of treatment. But here you go. Like you said, sleep is a must. You have got to get 8 hours of sleep, 8 and more for a lot of people. Now, while you're sleeping, your brain goes through different stages of sleep. And one of the stages is brainwashing, actually scrubbing out all of the toxins from the day. So getting uninterrupted sleep, and I know that it's hard with toddlers and raising a family. Yep, I have 4 children of my own, but fortunately they don't bother me with their sleep anymore. Getting that uninterrupted sleep can really go a long way in helping wash out your brain, helping you to wake up refreshed and move forward in the day. Question?
I was just gonna ask, yeah, so this is all incredible. And my question would be those who work night shift and those where we're in this chapter of life right now where our kids are waking us up, or those, we have a ton of moms on our team who have little babies. What are your best recommendations? Obviously, doing all these other things you're sharing with us, like if you can get a nap, is it better to go to sleep earlier in the night, I've heard, than to go to sleep later and wake up later?
Wherever you can get that sleep.
Okay.
You have to get uninterrupted sleep. So, if you can, do what you can. I am a proponent of co-sleeping. So if you can sleep better with your baby in your bed, don't worry, he won't be going off to college wanting to sleep with his mom, right? But when they're 1, 2, maybe even 3, as long as, they're not kicking you all night and keeping you awake. I know that oftentimes those toddlers will sleep more soundly with you, and you sleep soundly as well. As for the night shift, there are studies that show people that work the night shift don't have as good of health. Let's just say that, and then it can tumble down from there. Because we're wired to sleep at night and be up during the day. Excuse me. So yeah, life expectancy is actually shorter for people that work the night shift. So during the day, and get the sleep as you can. How do you get good sleep? A lot of people can't sleep, and that is a problem that people come to me with, and here's a couple of really good ideas. Is no screen time at least an hour before going to sleep. Don't get in bed and check your email or even reading Kindle books in bed. I mean, no screen time, because you don't want that electrical stimulation. Caffeine. Some people do not detoxify their caffeine. Now, I am all good with a cup of coffee in the morning, or 2 even. But if caffeine does not detoxify from your system, or if you don't sleep, you don't even know that. Cut the caffeine, see what happens. Your room needs to be dark, whether it's blackout curtains or the door closed, or just really keeping the lights off so your pineal gland can kick out the melatonin and keep you asleep. And make sure you're comfortable. Sleep in a cooler room. There are some recommendations that people say, make your room like a hotel room, like a spa. Everything top quality in there. Have a great bed, have a great environment. And if one of you snores, you or your husband snores, it might not be a bad idea to get them their own room. Just saying. Don't bother my sleep. That's a big stickler point for me personally. Then there's those toxins, right? I'll just go through this because we're going kind of long, but in our environment, we have to be very diligent about going the extra mile to keep our toxins out of our life, because the FDA and the EPA, they're not doing a good enough job, in my opinion, So we have to stay away from this toxic chemicals. A lot of times whenever we're using cleaning chemicals, we can use a more organic form made out of proteins that our body likes, or proteins that our body will identify, and then they can take care of it. But it is all of the chemically manufactured toxins in our environment. Our nervous system doesn't know what to do with them. So to protect your brain, you have to really go the extra mile to try and eliminate these items. And you can change your genetic destiny. Now you can take the 23andMe test and it'll tell you, do you have the gene for Alzheimer's? And I had my mom tested. She had 2 copies of the Alzheimer's gene. So she is 12 times more likely to have Alzheimer's, and she got it. Well, I had mine tested because I'm like, well, I want to know. Some people don't want to know. I want to know because I want to know what I can do. I have 1 copy of that gene. So I am 4 times more likely to develop Alzheimer's than people without the gene. So I have to change my destiny. I mean, we have our genes, we have our environment. The environment is the only thing that I have to work with. So I hope that you guys decide that you can work with your environment as well and not express that Alzheimer's gene. Or Parkinson's is also a genetic thing. So same thing applies for Parkinson's patients. So anyway, that's what I have for you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, this was so amazing. Thank you so much. There's a couple questions in here that I'm going to read in our chat box. And then I had just a couple. What has been your experience or preference or your stance on the autoimmune protocols? I think in regards to nutrition.
Oh yeah. Autoimmune paleo. If you have an autoimmune disease, you've probably been told, well, you're going to get another one. You know, if you have one, you're going to get another and another and another, and then finally you're done. The autoimmune paleo is the protocol that they have now. I mean, they may develop something later, but it is the tool. But, you know, you have to work yourself up to it, and you have to have that mindset that, you know, I have to make this work because I have, you know, maybe I have rheumatoid, or maybe I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I mean, that's the big one. And that's the big one that affects your brain too. So you got Hashimoto's, well, you know, you'll probably develop lupus, or you probably get rosacea. You don't have to. You can manipulate your environment, but you have to be diligent. So, and you have to work up to it. I mean, first, you have to balance your blood sugar. You know, and then you have to cut out the gluten and dairy. And then you have to do like an anti-inflammatory diet. And then once you've got all that stuff going, working in the keto realm and in the AIP, the autoimmune paleo, is what you have to do if you want to be as healthy as you can.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Naomi was wondering on the test kits for the gluten reaction that you were talking about, how do you remember off the top of your head around how much those cost?
They're around $250.
Okay, perfect.
So you can log into Cyrex, CYREX Labs, and you can see which arrays they call, which test they offer. I recently did one. I'm waiting for my results. They have an Alzheimer's panel. So they test, they look for gluten, foods, lectins, toxins, molds, brain proteins, and immune system. You know, and that one's around $500. So.
Wow. That's so fascinating, the tests that have been developed throughout the years for us to learn these things. Okay, so I know this is geared towards brain health. Question for you on, because I've had different people, and I'm curious if you've seen this too, who have tried the keto diet and it's not done. Maybe they don't have deficient or a susceptibility to neurodegeneration as much, but they are really suffering with hormonal imbalance. And they've noticed that removing all the carbohydrates for whatever reason actually is making them feel worse. Have you ever seen that happen?
Yes. I mean, there's a couple reasons, and, you know, make them feel worse for a week, and then they go back to what they were doing.
I've had some people do it for months, and
Well, so then what we have to do is you have to look at your diet and you have to say, am I digesting and am I absorbing the nutrients that I am giving my body? If you don't have the right stomach acid, or you have a gallbladder problem or pancreas enzyme deficiencies, then you're not going to be digesting your foods very well. But again, everybody is different and everybody, it's all moving. So you just kind of have to do what works for you. Add in a little bit of carbohydrate because, that's the kindling. The ketos are, the big oak logs that are burning for sustained energy and anti-inflammatory. But eating healthy carbs can be a way to get your brain firing with the kindling, just kind of getting it quick energy.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you guys have any other questions at all? I had one more when you were talking about gut health and the brain function. And I remember when I was going through all my anxiety stuff that I had and learning for the first time ever after nursing school, after my health coach certification program, just from researching about the gut-brain axis and how very real that is. And I was wondering if you could briefly just explain to everybody what the gut-brain axis is. And I mean, you kind of, told us it's important for brain health, but.
Right. Okay. Well, you eat, you get stuff in your gut does what it does, and it provides good nutrients to your brain. Well, there are problems in your intestines that will translate up to your brain. One is called a leaky gut. Now, leaky gut is kind of exactly what it sounds like, that the proteins in between the cells in your gut are not, are leaking, and so you get little micro nutrients through there into your interperitoneal space where they don't belong, stimulates your immune system. Well, you've got that leaky gut. Well, you also have a blood-brain barrier. And so if you've got a leaky gut, you most likely have a leaky blood-brain barrier. So anything that gets in your blood, that you're eating, you're smelling, you're however it's getting it, lotions, all of that stuff is going to get through into your brain and cause problems. So you're going to be way more susceptible. Those people that just can't function when somebody comes in the room with perfume or those sorts of things. So when your gut is leaky, you're eating the nutrients, or your intestines not working well enough, you don't have the nutrients to keep your gut stable, you don't have the nutrients to keep your brain stable. And also, we make neurotransmitters in our gut. 80% of our body's neurotransmitters are made in our intestines. And so if we don't have the right bacterial balance, if we don't have the right nutrition, we're not absorbing or we're not digesting properly, then we don't have the fuel we need to make the neurotransmitters. And neurotransmitters are brain chemicals that make us feel good, like serotonin, dopamine, acetylcholine, specifically for memory. So we make those in our gut and we make them in our brain. And so what is made typically in our gut is a representative of what we're doing in our brain. So that's why having a bad gut will give you anxiety or depression. Or both.
Right.
At the same time.
Right. So fascinating. Mm-hmm. So fascinating. And it's such a bummer that this kind of, just that alone, those 3 minutes, that it's not more widely available to people. We all know or have experienced ourselves people who suffer from anxiety or depression, and the information is just not out there. So thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. This was absolutely incredible. I'm so thankful that it's recorded because I know a ton of people are really excited about it. As a reminder, can you tell people where they can find you, make an appointment with you here in Sonora?
Well, I have a website called Youthful Brain Now, specifically focused on gut brain health. And I will be doing a 6-week series where we're going to be doing Zoom calls and an hour class for each of those things that we talked about tonight, as well as mindfulness. So we're gonna, if you guys would like to be informed about that, go to my website, Youthful Brain Now, and sign up for my newsletter, because I'm going to be sending that out, announcing the class soon, and that'll be next month. And I also have a chiropractic website, is communitychiropractic.org, and I am located in Sonora on 6 South Forest Road. Anybody can just Google me or Google Community Chiropractic, and you'll find us. You can call and make an appointment. We do in the office, we mostly do manipulation, chiropractic treatment, a little bit of health education. If you need to dig deep into what's going on with you, I have special office hours for that. And we just work together to find the cure to your health problems.
I love that. I will put both of your websites on our team page to make sure everyone has the links to those. And then I also wanted to make sure everybody knows Tamara's amazing at, even when you're pregnant, like chiropractor care during pregnancy is so powerful afterwards and on babies and little kids. So I think that so many people don't ever think about that or even know, but it's so, so, so powerful for kids and when you're growing a tiny human. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tamara. I'm going to let everybody go. I appreciate you so much. And just thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, Jess.
You're the best.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
Oh.
All right. All right, guys. Have
Bye,
a good
everybody.
day.
Thanks
Bye.
for being here.